to return to first principles. The first principle with which we set out was that every region could take half of what it produced and hand half over to the rest of the federation to share again between themselves. But something went wrong at the point at which I ended the last narration. When Ojukwu got to Aburi, he got resource control and he got regional autonomy. But what was really required, which he did not accept, was that the old unjust system, which ensured that all the minorities in the north, in the west, and in the east were not getting their due. Ojukwu did not want states created, so that all the minorities in the north, in the west, and the east simply gang together and smash the Aburi Accord. When the Aburi Accord is discussed, people like to talk about what Awolowo did or did not do. No, the minorities fought for themselves by ensuring that if you were going to give regional autonomy to them in the north, the minorities will be given their due. And if you are going to do the same in the east, the minorities will be given their due. If Ojukwu had agreed, it was very difficult at that time to agree. If Ojukwu had agreed to the creation of states, and those minority elements got what they demanded, the problem would probably have been different. But when states were then created, states were created which were completely unviable, which is to say they took from them that power, those powers in the concurrent list, which they then moved almost completely to the exclusive legislative list, which made it a federal thing. Today, if we want to solve the problem, we must move from the exclusive list into the concurrent list, much of what they stole.
Okay, now I want to stop you because it's important that I point out that we did invite Ohaneze to take part in this program. They apologized and said prior commitments did not allow them to send anybody, but they did say to us that they wanted us to share the summary of a communique that they issued on this particular agitation. And essentially, I'll try and run through it as quickly as possible because obviously I want to get as many people talking as possible. They said basically the Indibo are in support of a united Nigeria, peace, love, fairness, justice, equity and equality of opportunity are paramount regardless of where one comes from, that they condemn all hate speech regardless of where it comes from, and that they lend their full support to the restructuring of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the basis of fairness and equity, and therefore call on the federal government and all leaders to commence a process of dialogue among Nigerians. They also say they support the reports of the National Conference of 2014, and that the Southeast governors and members of the National Assembly from the Southeast and the leadership of the Ohaneze in Igbo should constitute the official organs that will speak on behalf of Igbo people. We seem to have a disconnect here, Dr. Ibrahim, because again, we've got a political class, or at least a certain group of elites who seem very confident about what they're saying about their people. And yet, when I went to see Nnamdi Kanu in Umuahia last week, I saw at least 20,000 young men and women saying he's their leader. So are we deceiving ourselves when we keep insisting that it's the same set of people that should be determining the direction of Nigeria? And when I say the same set of people, I'm talking here about political class and an elite that is doing well within Nigeria because, you know, for them, Nigeria works.
You see, when you don't exercise leadership, you don't have a followership. That has been the story of Nigeria. We've had a series of leadership that have used access to power for their own personal accumulation of wealth, for their self-aggrandizement. And in the process, the people have been abandoned. And I think there's a sense in which part of the crisis we are looking at is these people, ordinary people, asking themselves, who can provide real leadership to do what the mass of the people are in dire need of? That's the type of language I understand to be happening in the country. And I think we need to put two things together. One is a crisis over political structure. And the story of restructuring in this country is very interesting. We have been restructuring since 1934, continuously. Correct. So when people say we must restructure, it doesn't make sense because we have been restructuring. The question has always been, what should be the direction of our restructuring?
Okay, and I will want us to, to sort of get into that conversation about what the direction of our restructuring is. But before we do, another group of young people recently came to the fore, a coalition of young northerners asking for the Indibo to leave Nigeria by October. And we sent a colleague of ours to Kano to speak to him, Abubakar Salihu. And this is what one of the people who made that statement had to say.
We are not new in the struggle. Some of us have been in struggle for over 18 years, since the dark days of militaries. We have seen a lot, the good, the bad, the ugly side of struggle. We've been involved, but we've never been involved in any violent struggle. So the point we make is never anything to write as regards to the issue of inciting anybody to go on violent. And we caution people, and we try as much as we can to also make clarification as regards to our position. So there was nothing incitement. If there's anybody who is making an incisive statement calling for war, is the iPod, and those are the groups we are targeting to ensure that we draw the attention of Nigerians and also international community to see how they can prevail on this young man who keep advocating violence and so on and so forth for over time. Even when he was arrested, even when he was tried, even when he was granted bail, certain conditions were laid on him. He defied all of these conditions, and he's still making the same statement. As I speak to you, even yesterday, he made other statements. So if there's anybody who is looking for trouble, it should be referred to him, not us. We believe in the entity of this country, we believe in the unity of this country, and we work towards that. What we're saying is just a simple language. Somebody say, look, we're tired of this marry. We're tired of being part of this country. And we're saying, no, if you are tired, there are due processes to follow. Don't just sit down and begin to advocate for violence. There are exit ways easily for you to go without unleashing terror on innocent Nigerians, without you intimidating the unity of this country. There's an exit way. If you are truly fighting for your freedom, if you are truly fighting to go out of the country, you cannot build a nation in another nation. We believe strongly in Nigeria. You cannot continue to clamor for another country with violence in our own terrain, in our own region. We are saying, no, if you have that, please go back to your place and do it. And the saddest problem is that some of us felt a bit sliced, because when this young man was talking, provoking all the country, the leaders from Southeast, a lot of them did not come out openly to condemn the action and inaction of the young man. He kept doing. So to us, we strongly believe that, look, to avoid what happened in 1966, measures must be taken. In the past, it was war. We don't want to go into war. So the best we could do is to draw the attention of the entire country and also the international community to say, look, enough of this madness of this young man.
That was Yerima Shetima. Professor Ndikalu, in 1 minute, before I go to break, did he make any sense to you?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yes.
The most fascinating thing I thought I got out of this is he's supposed to be youth and he's referring to somebody else as a young man. I think for me that sums up the entire conversation.
Okay, we are going to have to take a quick break, and when we come back we will try and open up the conversation, because we do have a fabulous group of guests in the studio. So don't go away. Stay with us. You are watching The Core. We're talking Biafra and nation building, and the program is coming to you live from Channels Television Studios in Abuja, Nigeria.